those parts that are reacted to by T cells, which are referred to as T cell epitopes, they are on the surface, but they're also buried. The changes that affect an antibody do not nearly impact as much T cell recognition. And that is absolutely critical, because that's one of the reasons why when you have variants that change, in fact, you still have protection against hospitalization, because T cells, as I mentioned a moment ago, protect more against progression of disease. Next slide. This slide actually tells you that, because if you look at either the left or the right, when you go from one variant to another, there's a great deal of conservation of these T cell epitopes, so that even though the variant changes, either a vaccine or a prior infection can give you protection against the various variants. And then the next slide, this slide just really shows papers that many of you have read about, that vaccination can induce memory able to cross-react all the variants from alpha to beta to delta to omicron. Next slide. Same thing with laboratory studies that T cells induced from vaccination or prior infection seem to hold up well. Next slide. Now, getting back to what Dr. Walensky said, these are data from the UK. She showed us data from the United States. They're very similar. If you look at just symptomatic infection on the left, 2 doses of an mRNA, and this is Omicron, 2 to 4 weeks later, have a 65 to 70% protection. But as Dr. Walensky showed, if you look about 10 weeks later, you have only a 30%. When you give a boost, you bring that up 65 to 70 and 45 to 50. But the important part of the slide is on the right with the red. When you look at 2 doses plus a boost, you get very good, durable protection against hospitalization. That is the important key issue. Next slide.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
And of what I've said, protection against SARS-CoV-2 infection is mediated mostly by antibodies. Short-lived, conditions easily from infection. Or the data that Dr. Walensky showed you. But protection against severe disease is mediated predominantly by memory B cells and CD4, CD8 T cells. These are longer-lived and more broadly reactive. And so, the current vaccines, particularly with regard to boosting the current regimens, continue to induce immune response.